Hello, I'm a Mac.
Hold up, here I come.
Whoa, PC?
Mr. Lover, lover, lover. Now Mr. Lover, lover, lover. Girl. Mr. Lover, lover, lover. Now Mr. Lover, lover.
Quiet, kid.
She call me Mr. Bombastic, tell me fantastic. Put me on me.
When I talked about Miku's newly released English voice bank in a previous episode, I mentioned that it was the first Vocaloid package to be supported by Mac computers, and I wanted to get some more information about Yamaha's plans for Apple users. There is not much available information right now. I did find a little bit, but the first part of this video will be about something I found along the way, the Macne series, which is rather unique in that it is a Japanese Apple Macintosh specific fandom. A full disclosure here though, I am not a Mac user. In fact, I've never used any model of Macintosh computer. The last Apple computer I used was likely an Apple IIc back in elementary school. With the wave of Vocaloid mania that grew after the release of Miku, Rin, and Len, tech-savvy musicians all over Japan couldn't resist taking a look. But there was a tiny problem. Vocaloid software was only compatible with Windows. With Boot Camp, modern Mac users can run Windows operating systems by restarting their computers. But what if you want to make use of OS X-specific software like GarageBand? There was no way for Mac using Miku fans to make use of the Vocaloid software without basically abandoning OS X for the majority, if not the entirety, of their projects. So in 2008, a Japanese voice actress named Ikizawa Haruna decided to create a Vocaloid-type voice bank specifically for Macs. Macne Nana is the first of the Macne series of voice banks, and she was initially released March 28, 2009, using Ikizawa Haruna's voice as her provider. In terms of character design, Nana was intended to be a sort of Macintosh computer princess, around 14 to 15 years old. She has a very positive outlook on life and is very energetic, but she is not terribly bright and very accident prone. But if she's not a Vocaloid, then what is she? I'm not entirely sure about the technicals since I do not use these software, but her voice samples were turned into compatible formats to be used with the programs Reason and GarageBand. Her voice was also later adapted into an AtH-compatible version. Her primary method of operation was to be used with Reason and GarageBand, so as expected her voice bank was much more difficult to use than the Vocaloid or AtH software, since those programs aren't specifically designed to handle phoneme input as far as I know. But whether it's due to the capability of those programs or the ingenuity of Nana's designers, she became a somewhat viable option for Mac users to try a Vocaloid-style voice bank on their home turf. Her original voice was very high and had a cheerful, childlike quality to it, but because of its handmade nature, it lacked the smoothness seen in Vocaloid voice banks. Here is an example of her original voice bank. I say original voice bank because Nana became popular within the Japanese Mech community, and in 2012 for her 3rd anniversary, Macne Nana S2 was released, an improved re-recording of her voice bank which has a softer quality to it. Nana's original voice bank is no longer available for purchase, but her S2 voice bank is about $10 currently, and it is compatible with AtH in addition to Reason and Apple Loops. While I'm not sure how much her original voice bank cost, Nana's developers released a light version of her voice bank alongside her, called Macne Petite. Petite used the same voice samples as Nana did, but some of the samples were removed to make the voice bank smaller and less capable to offer a less expensive package. Petite was initially created to just be an alternative version of Nana, but the Macne fandom ended up turning her into her own character, treating her as Nana's younger sister and the youngest member of what would become the Macne family. Nana has two more sisters, older sisters in this case, the first of which was Macne Coco White. Released in September 2009, she was originally simply named Macne Coco. However, she was intended to be one of two twin sisters, with the other being released in June 2010, also with the name Macne Coco. They were given the same name since they both used the same voice provider, so to differentiate them, the earlier Coco was renamed to Coco White and the latter to Coco Black. The Coco sisters cost about $20 each, but that seems like a fair price if these following songs show their potential, especially the Coco Black song. It's really impressive. Macne Papa is the father of the Macne household, and he is the only male voice bank in the Macne series. He was released April 30th, 2010, and his voice sample library is larger than any of the other Macne voice banks at 118 samples. He is currently not available for purchase, however. His voice bank is being improved to match the quality of the S2 voice banks, and it's not known when his new voice bank will be available.
砂漠に倒して夜となる頃こびりとよなす走り歌を歌おうよあの寂しい調べに今日も涙流そうこびりとよアラビアの
The most recent character in the Macne series took advantage of the growing Macne fandom. As I said, Macne Petite was initially the same as Nana, just a different name and character design to differentiate separate commercial products. But their fans turned Petite into Nana's younger sister, and so rather than creating a new character, the Macne series designers instead chose to update Petite's character. Released December 2nd, 2011, Angel Whisper Sasayaki is also voiced by Nana's voice provider, and she is a transformed version of Petite in magical girl form. She is the quietest and softest vocal of the Macne series, intended for calm and soothing songs. She currently sells for about $14, but she does have a free version available. You actually pay for her free version by tweeting, so a Twitter account is necessary in order to get the free version. As you can imagine, this free version of Sasayaki is not as capable as her retail version, being limited to having only one layer of voice data. So yes, the Macne series is related to Japanese voice synthesis, and its voice banks have been converted to AtH compatible files. But why is this video in my Vocaloid Extra series? How does Macne relate to Vocaloid? There are two reasons, but primarily it's because Macne Nana is being turned into a Vocaloid. Her voice bank is currently in the alpha stage, and it will be reviewed for quality when it reaches 70% completion. If the judges are satisfied, Nana will become a real Vocaloid, which is exciting, as it would open the door to the rest of the Macne series as well, and I would love to see the Coco sisters with Vocaloid 3 quality voice banks. But even if Nana doesn't meet expectations, there's always Vocaloid Neo. Vocaloid Neo is the recently released Mac OS X version of the Vocaloid 3 software. It is the same thing as Windows Vocaloid 3, just for Macs. It doesn't have any additional features or specific improvements. For now, only Miku English is compatible with Vocaloid Neo, but other Vocaloids which are currently confirmed to become available for it soon include VY1 V3, VY2 V3, Mew, Aoki Lapis, and Zola Project. And of course, should Nana become a retail Vocaloid, she will be Neo compatible. Unfortunately, Vocaloid Neo is limited to supporting the small list of Vocaloids. It won't be able to manipulate vocals from any unsupported voice banks. This is a severe limitation, but Internet Co. has apparently stated that they are considering releasing some of their Vocaloids for Neo, which puts popular Vocaloids such as Gumi, Gakpo, and Lily on the table for the future. And of course, more voice banks will become available for it should it prove successful. Users who already own Windows versions of these voice banks will essentially be able to exchange them for Neo versions when they are released. You will receive the Neo version for free, but you will have to uninstall the Windows version before installing the Neo version. If you're a longtime Mac user, you may be wondering why it has taken Yamaha so long to consider Mac compatibility. After all, when we think of computers used in creative industries, we think of Macintosh computers. Macs have a very long history of use in the music and video production industries in the US and Europe. But while Japan is probably the Asian country where Macs have the largest market share, they still only account for somewhere around 5% of all the desktops and laptops in Japan, I think, whereas that number is closer to 15% here in the US. It's hard to get solid statistics because Apple products are typically lumped together, and of course gizmos like the iPhone and iPad are hugely popular. But, speaking of those things, you may recall that in episode 5 of my original Vocaloid series, I mentioned that VY1 was released for the iPhone and iPad in 2010. VY1, VY2, and eventually Aoki Lapis would be given iPad versions on the iVocaloid app. However, those are the only 3 voice banks ever released for it, and it required a Japanese iPad to be used. iVocaloid reportedly won't even run on foreign region iPads. This is all a very humble beginning for Mac Vocaloid users, but if this campaign succeeds, it could help Vocaloid become more recognizable in the US and Europe.
This and all the other combinations are explained in the manual. The Macne is also a fully integrated entertainment system. It's perfect for listening to music, watching movies, or even giving a business presentation. Since I started this commercial, we've brought out a newer, smaller computer, the Macne Nana, rendering this one obsolete. Thanks for watching.